Hello and welcome to Tuts Life Academy. In this presentation, I will show you how to write better in examinations and score better as well. This guidance is applicable for CBSE board and icse board examinations or for any school or academic examinations. This is also applicable for any college and university based examinations. So you can follow these guidelines and it will definitely help you improve your score in your examinations. So let's get started. So before I start, I must tell you that this is in no sequence. Okay, this does not mean that point number one is more important than point number two, or point number five is less important than point number one. It's not in an ordered sequence. Okay, I have written them in random order, and honestly, if you want to follow the best answer writing strategies, then you should not be giving one point more priority over the other. So point number one is that always write your answers in a sequence. Okay, we also call this as a sequentially ordered pattern. So basically, just like I have written this whole thing, I have divided them into points, right? I have written point number one at the top, then point number two, and at the last point number three. So this is an ordered sequence. Okay, so when you're writing your answers, you should always start with answer number one, which corresponds to the first question. Okay, so the answer for the first question should always be at the top, followed by the answer for question number two, then answer for question number three, and so on. So suppose you have 10 questions in your examination paper and you are unable to comprehend the answer for one question, maybe it's question number five. You should not be skipping it. Okay, you should leave a space in between the answer for question number four and the answer for question number six. So the answer for question number five will always reside in between the answer for question number four and answer for question number six. Do not write it at the end of your answer paper. Okay, do not change the ordering, do not damage the ordering. It should be in a sequence. So first it will be the answer for question number four. Then if you forget the answer for question number five, or you cannot remember it, recapitulate it, then leave a space in between answer 4 and answer 6. Okay, you can always go back and revise your answers. Okay, it may happen that you have randomly remembered the answer for question number 5. Then you can always go back and write it in that gap that you have provided. So leave a sufficient gap, and do not write it at the end of the answer sheet. Okay, that is not a good strategy. Okay, that can also damage someone's impression on your answer paper. So always write your answers in a sequentially ordered pattern. Okay, after writing your answer for question number one, if you are unable to write the answer for question number two, then leave a gap for answering that question later on and proceed to answering question number three. Even if you won't be able to answer, always leave a gap. Okay. Then comes point number two, which is always prefer using a blue pen. Okay, write everything in a single colored ink. So what this means is that suppose you're writing with a blue pen and the ink it gets finished. Okay, there is no more ink left in your pen. Then switch to a similarly colored blue pen. Okay, the blue color should remain consistent. Okay, you should not use a different blue. Always use the same blue that you are writing with, and never switch to a different ink color. Okay, so if you have one blue pen and 3 black pens in your examination hall, and you are confused whether to use blue or not because you are not sure how much ink it will have at the end of the exam or in between, then if you have such kind of confusion, you may stick to black pen. There is no problem in that, but always carry multiple blue pens of the same color tone to your examination hall. That way, your answers will look much more authentic and much more bright, because generally blue pens are much brighter than black pens. Okay, the color is bright and it will leave a good impression and it will also look authentic. Okay. Now we come to point number 3, which is extremely important. Like, I cannot emphasize enough, it has to go right. Point number 3 is all about your handwriting. Okay, so your handwriting, if it's good or if it's even great, then it will always leave a good impression. Okay, not just in your work, but also about the person, about you. Okay, so a good handwriting is the work of a philosopher. Okay, a good handwriting always gives an impression that the student has deep thinking, the student has deep creativity, and the student is always in a consistent work of studying or of exploring new things, and that's why his handwriting is good, because that student will be writing very often. Okay, and with practice the handwriting gets better and better. If you reach that stage where your handwriting looks like art, looks like calligraphy, then yeah, you can leave a great impression on anybody. And the same is applicable to answering questions as well. If you are writing with a good handwriting, there is every chance that you may even score better, because it leaves a good impression on your teacher, or on the person who is checking your answer sheet. The examiner may check your answer sheet in a more lenient manner, so they may offer you even better marks, you never know. And it happens very often that those who write in a good handwriting, they leave an excellent impression on the teacher or on the person who is checking the answer sheet, and they are offered more marks due to that leniency factor that builds, in that process. So always write in a good handwriting. You never know, you may get better marks that may act as a merit going for you. So always present yourself better. And good handwriting means a good presentation. Excellent handwriting, excellent presentation. Okay, it leaves a long lasting impression on whoever sees your handwriting. Now, coming to the next point, which is point number 4, we call this kerning in English. Okay, so kerning means the spacing in between two words or the spacing in between two letters of a word. Okay, if you maintain equal spacing between the words or between the letters or both, then that consistent kerning will also leave a good impression. Okay, so always learn to maintain equal spacing between two consecutive words, okay, all throughout your exam paper, and this will leave a better impression. It is considered to be as equally advantageous as point number 3, which was good handwriting. So both of them will work for you when somebody checks your answer sheet. Now, coming to point number 5, this is also very important, but you may already know this. Some people do not follow this, but this should be followed. Okay, so when you are writing an answer to a question, okay, always write ANS. So this is an abbreviation of the word answer. So after you write ANS, put a dot, or you may not put a dot, that doesn't matter. But after writing ANS, you should write the question number followed by a colon and then a hyphen. Okay, so you may use some other symbols as well, the right bracket, the right arrow bracket, that is also fine, or you may use just the colon and that is also fine. There is no problem in that. You can write in any format, but ANS needs to be there followed by the question number, okay, for which the answers belong to. Avoid spelling mistakes. Okay, avoid grammatical mistakes, spelling mistakes, because if somebody observes that, if it catches the attention of the person who is checking your exam paper, then you may be granted negative marking because of those mistakes. Okay, because you are writing the answers in a certain language, and if you are not making good use of that language, if you are making mistakes in that language in your presentation, then It also accounts for a lack of education, okay, a lack of consciousness while writing your answers. So always avoid spelling mistakes as much as possible, and definitely avoid grammatical mistakes. Okay, make everything sensible. Okay, make everything sensible. That is the main thing. Now moving on to point number 7, always draw an underline after finishing an answer. Okay, so suppose there is an answer to question number 2 followed by the answer to question number 3. You need to make those two blocks separate, right? You need to separate those two blocks. So there needs to be a marker so that someone understands that this belongs to a different question, this belongs to another question. So that marker, that division, can be created using an underline. And whenever you are separating two consecutive or two successive answers with an underline, draw the underline with a pencil, okay, preferably an HB pencil, and avoid using pen to underline. Okay, never use a pen to underline. That is not a good approach. Coming to point number 8, which is very crucial, which is keep your sentences short and to the point. Okay, if you write long and complicated sentences, then it will become difficult for the reader to understand what you are trying to say. Okay, if your sentences are short, if you use simple vocabulary, if you use simple words, short sentences, and if you keep them to the point, the reader will be far more likely to understand your point, and it will make more sense in a much shorter time. That's it. It just gets easy to evaluate your answer. It gets easy to understand what you are trying to say. So moving on to point number 9, after finishing the answering the whole question paper, always remember to revise. So you must aim at finishing your answers much before the timer ends, the timer to your examination. And after that, whatever time is left, utilize it properly, utilize it correctly, and revise all your answers as much as possible, multiple times, okay, to check whether there are any mistakes or not, and fix them before the exam timer ends. And keep at least 15 to 20 minutes time so that you can revise the paper and correct your mistakes. Okay, so coming to the next slide, here I will tell you how to write differences. Okay, differences between two subjects or maybe three subjects doesn't matter. This is applicable for all kinds of differences, no matter how many subjects are there under focus. Okay, so all you need to do is you need to draw a line with HB pencil to separate the two subjects of difference. Okay, always use an HB pencil to do that. And also you may use a ruler so that the line is straight. Here I have also given an example for a real world scenario. If you are asked to write the difference between a computer and a mobile phone, then you have to draw a line separating them, and it will make two equal columns. That means the columns will be of equal width. Then use the first column for computer and the second column for a mobile phone, and then continue with your differences. Okay, if there is a third topic, then you draw three columns, which means that you have to draw two lines with HB pencil to make three equal columns. After that, we come to point number 2, where you have to start writing point number at the start of every point of difference. Okay, and they should follow a sequence. So first point goes as point number 1, then point number 2, and so on. Okay, writing only the number followed by a hyphen is a proper strategy to take. Okay, so first write the number and then give the hyphen, or first write the number and then put a dot, or perhaps a right arrow bracket. All of them are sensible and they can be used as pointing options. Okay, after you finish your list, draw an underline to separate the answer from the next answer. Okay, this corresponds to the very first slide that I showed you, that you should separate all your answers by drawing an underline, and the underline needs to be drawn with an HB pencil, not a pen. After that, I will show you how to write fill in the blanks. Okay, so point number 1, it's always best to write the full sentence given in a fill in the blank type of question. Okay, so whenever you see a question, it will contain a sentence, right? So you can write the same sentence once again in your answer sheet this time. Okay, so if you write the full sentence, it reflects, it implies that you are giving full dedication in writing your answer, and that acts as a merit. Okay, then after writing the whole sentence, fill in the blanks and then just draw an underline under the answer, okay, under the words that form as your answer to the question. Okay, so fill in the blanks and underline your answers in that sentence. Point number 3, remember to write the question number before starting your answer. Write it in a format that is sensible. Here I have given a real world example. So if you write ANS, it's basically abbreviation of the word answer. So if you write ANS1, it means that answer for question number 1. And then you put a colon or a hyphen or a colon followed by a hyphen, it doesn't matter. Now I come to point number 4. When you finish the whole section of fill in the blank type of question, after that draw an underline. Here you do not have to draw an underline after every fill in the blank question. Okay, draw the underline after completing the whole block of fill in the blanks. Okay, there is no need to draw an underline after each and every fill in the blank type of question, just as I have written in point number 5. Complete all of them and then draw the line. So that's it. I hope that these instructions were easy to follow, and I hope that you will be able to apply them when writing your examination paper. And I wish you all the best. Thank you.